Hello and welcome to Full Follow. I'm your host, Justin Butler, and with me tonight I have Kevin Hinkle. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing good. How are you, Justin?
Good. So you're a returning guest on Full Follow.
Yep. Yep.
So what have you been up to uh since the last time you were on?
Still doing my racing down in Oklahoma in the Comma series, and then most recently, just a couple 3 weeks ago, I was back at Kansas Speedway in the ARCA series, driving for Wayne Peterson. So,
Oh, get out.
and-
I wish
yeah.
I would have known. We would have met.
Sorry, man. I'll I'll be back there in September. I'll give you a heads up when I'll be back at Kansas Speedway with Wayne.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my next question has to do with so Kevin, so what do you like about racing for that team?
Wayne's a great guy to drive for. The the team itself, I mean, it's a grassroots operation. We don't have Venturini money. I can't afford that kind of budget to for racing, and so we we do the best we can with what we have. We've got some regular fans that come find us every time we're there. So it's a lot of fun and much you know lower key atmosphere.
Yeah. So about how many races a year would you say you do for them?
2 to 3. Um, this year I planned on both the Kansas races and Iowa, and I may still do Iowa in July. I've got some details I need to work out, but if I do, I'll let you know. But
Yeah,
that is a possibility, the Iowa race in July.
perfect. I will be at that race.
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
Got my tickets,
Awesome.
so we'll figure out a way to meet up.
Absolutely.
Um, but but no, so Kevin, what I guess what do you what do you like what do you enjoy about your life in racing? I mean, like you said last time,
Hmm.
ra racing is thinking but
Yeah,
do you
it is.
see do you see yourself doing it for a long time?
I don't know about a long time, but I mean, I'll be 64 this year, so it's one of those things. It's how much longer? It's hard to say. Obviously, I still pass the physicals, and I can, handle being in the car for 100 laps at a time and things like that. So there's really nothing at this point that's preventing me from continuing to do it. And I want to do it as long as I'm able to. So hopefully, hopefully for a while, still for a while yet.
So Kevin, uh, you're in the pits a bunch. Um, with you being a part-time racer, what's
Mhm.
it like every time you get behind the wheel? Is it stressful for you to get caught running the way
No,
you want, or you pick it up like a workhorse?
pretty much pick it up just like like riding a bike. You never forget. I've got thousands of laps around Kansas Speedway. I started checking. I've raced there since the very first year, which was 2001. So I've basically been on that track for 24 years. So um, have a lot of laps around that place, and it's my home track, so it's very convenient for me to race there. So it's not where learning it all over again or anything like that. And as far as setup on the cars, I know what Wayne and Nate and Michael do as far as what they, you know, what their baseline is. So it's pretty easy to tune the car from that point as far as handling and stuff.
So, um, so what would you say,
Hmm.
um, if let's play a game. So
Okay.
I I recently I don't know if you looked at my YouTube
Hmm.
lately before tonight's interview, but besides you,
Hmm.
who's the biggest name you think I ever had on my YouTube?
Wow, I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't checked your YouTube recently, so man, I'm going to guess someone at the cup level, maybe. Like,
No, Larry McReynolds.
oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah. Um, so, but the reason I bring up Larry is
Hmm.
he he is such a sponge when it comes to the sport.
Right.
Who who is a sponge for you? Who can you turn to nowadays and say, I need a little bit of help?
Um, I mean, I bounce things off of Wayne, other drivers as well. I mean, I'm good friends with Alex Clubb, Brad Smith, Mike Basham, Will Kimmel, Bill Kimmel. So those are guys that, I'll turn to and bounce ideas or, get input from, things like that.
So tell tell me, who do you think is your biggest influence when it comes to your racing career currently?
Biggest influence currently, that's a hard one. I mean, with the other series I run in Como, I mean, there's a number of drivers that we all are in the same group, same class, and we're very close friends, and um, we help each other out a lot. I mean, there's 6 or 8 of us that are really a tight knit group, and so a lot there. And then, there's a number of people in the garages. I mean, Jeremy Petty, who takes care of Ryan Roulette and other drivers, good guy to turn to get input. The other guys I mentioned, like Alex and Mike Basham and Brad and them. I always have great conversations with Bill Campbell. Used to drive for him as well in the past, so still have a great friendship there.
So, I mean, for a person like you,
Hmm.
um, every time you get behind the wheel, does it feel like your kid is having fun?
Oh yeah, I mean you got to have fun with it. If you don't, it's not going to be it's not going to last long. It's not going to something you want to keep doing. And I have a blast with it. I mean, eh, I look at it, okay, I'm not one of the top 5 drivers in ARCA. I don't have the funding for it, or anything like that. So I know my place in the series. You know, we finished 17th at Kansas. We were easily a top 10 to top 15 car. Had some problems with in the pits, but and so I realized where my bar is set and what I needed. A top 10 would have been really nice. Top 10 to 15 was really our target, and we didn't miss it by much. So yeah, and the bottom line, I have friends and family that come with me. As sport, I have my oldest son is my spotter, does a great job. So it's great to have I have great father-son camaraderie on the, you know, he works for me at my shop, plus he's my spotter, plus we hang out together. So great camaraderie with friends and family and just have a blast with it.
Yeah. So talk talk to me about how you like your son to spot for you. Do you like him talking to you all the time when you say, you know what, you
He
can
does a
talk?
great, yeah, he does a great job. I mean, he's not constantly feeding me information. He is just on his own deal. He has found a great balance of, when to feed me information and so on. I mean, he does a great job up there. He keeps me well informed. I mean, I've worked with um, some other spotters. I mean, I've worked with Kyle Busch's spotter at one time when I drove for Bill, you know, and so I've had some really professional spotters over the years, and my son does a great job. He's actually good friends with Tony as well. So they've become great friends because Tony's up there spotting for other drivers at the same time my son's there. So he's he's definitely learned a lot from peers like that, and he does a great job. So it's awesome. It makes me feel very comfortable in the car knowing I
Yeah,
got him watching for me.
yeah. I was just going to say, so it sounds like you feel very confident in your son's spotting abilities.
Definitely.
Do you do you feel like he's one of the better spotters? Uh,
I would say so, yes. I mean, I've worked with some really good ones over the years, and I'd put him right up there with the rest of them.
uh, well, um, so tell tell me a little bit about the adrenaline you get when you're racing. For example, like father-son spotting. You kind
Hmm.
of talked about that, so I want to camp out on that for a second.
Okay.
When when you talk about your son's uh when you talk about your son's spotting ability, a good
Hmm.
uh, confidence level you had in him.
Oh, I definitely have a lot of confidence in his job up there. It, like you said, it makes me very comfortable in the car. I know I've worked with spotters with other teams in the past that, I didn't have that comfort at all. I mean, I always felt like I need to double and triple check, my mirrors and different things like that to make sure what the information I was getting was correct. I've had spotters that I quit hearing from. So my confidence front with my son is right up there at the top. He does a great job.
I mean, talk talk to me about the first time you talked to him about spotting for you. What was that?
Well,
What?
well, he actually approached me about it. It was kind of interesting. This He's been spotting for me now. This is going on 3 years, and he came up. He goes, and he's, Dad, would you be interested in? I would really like to spot for you. I said, sure, let's give it a try. He's very much involved with racing as well. He doesn't do any driving, but great big enthusiast. Knows a lot about it, and I was like, heck yeah, let's give it a try. And right out of the gate, we have great chemistry there. So I mean, I see him every day because he works for me at my shop. And so we spend a lot of hours together. We have a you know, great chemistry between us, and it just transferred over on the track, and quite immediately. I mean, the first time he spotted for me, man, I knew it, that he did a great job, and I was very comfortable with it. So
Yeah. So
it's
so
awesome to have him up there.
two more questions and then I'll
Yeah.
let you go.
Okay.
So talk to me about the relationship, like I know it's your son-in-law and
Hmm.
I know you're a good driver, but talk talk to me about, I guess, talk to me about how often, what what you feel like it takes behind the wheel with someone like yourself at your age. Do, do, do you feel like you could go to Talladega, for instance, and be really competitive
I
and
did. Mhm.
uh, fun? They say Talladega is a place that anybody can win, but
It,
do,
yep.
do you, I guess, do, have you ever just felt like going to Talladega, why it's not not safe
Mhm.
sometimes because
Well,
it's Talladega?
yeah, super speedways are different. I've raced at Daytona and Talladega both, and they're definitely. I mean, anyone definitely it's anyone's race at any given time, given you have the equipment to do it. Um, with running with Wayne, we run the legacy engines, so I do not have an Hillmore, so that I'm giving up 50 horsepower or so right there. So it's tough to stay, you know, you know, get towards the front. Um, but I feel comfortable drafting. I have no problem with that. I feel that given the if I had say an Ilmore engine and other things like that, um, I feel confident I would be right up there with the front with the rest of them. So it's one of those tracks that both Daytona and Talladega are it's it can be the greatest of times and it can be the worst of times because it's so you know the racing at draft racing is so much different than say your intermediate tracks or even your short tracks.
Yeah,
All three levels are very different. How you approach tracks, how you approach the turns. I mean, I racing at Kansas is, once it's very similar to say Charlotte just last week. Although the lines at each track are very different, the overall the racing there is very, very, very similar. Even I've raced at Michigan and Arca, and I've got a ton of laps around that place, and it's a 2 mile track, so it's even different than any of the other ones. So, but I feel confident I can do well at Talladega.
yeah, that's what most people say, but like, like, uh, like my la one of my last questions has to do
Mhm.
with, um, with at your, at your particular time in your life,
Mhm.
do you, first of all, how many times have you tasted victory lane in the Arca series?
In the Argus series, I've not tasted Victory Lane. So, yeah, that's one series I've not. I have in other series, but not in Arca. So, best finish I have, I believe, if I remember right, was 14th, and that was at Kansas. I was driving for Bill Kimmel at that time.
Okay. And so I mean, you've had battles to cry and never give up, which
Mhm.
is something I really like about people like you.
I
Uh,
appreciate it.
you don't give up. I hear a lot of back marketing that could just following the old talent say, we're not going to show up. But
Right.
you don't seem like you have that personality.
No, no.
I say that to ask this. So, the, the way, if you could picture yourself winning a race,
Hmm.
where do you think that would be, and why do you think you have the skill at that racetrack to um do well at that race?
I would definitely say Kansas, simply because I have so many laps there and feel very confident and comfortable there. That would be the track I would feel I would do have the biggest chance of winning.
And my last question has to do with so your biggest goals for the remaining part of your season are as follows.
My biggest goal for this season
Yeah.
for me, um, you know, if I could score top 10 to 15 at Kansas on in September, that would be awesome. Top 10, solid top 10 would be awesome. Yeah, I was talking with Wayne's son Michael just the other day, and we were talking through the last Kansas race and what improvements we can make in order to make it where we have a much more solid run. So, and we have things we're going to do to changes we're going to make and personnel we're going to add to help out on pit road and things like that to make sure we can.
Is it, and my last question has to do with pit road.
Yeah.
You, uh, so is it kind of nice not having the hustle on pit road, having that break that Arca gives you, we're gonna say 5 minutes?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
5 minute break. It actually is pretty nice. It definitely helps teams like us. However, at the last race at Kansas, they went to a live pitting, so we didn't get the 5 minute break. We went there thinking that was what was gonna how it's gonna be. And in the drivers' meeting, they announced that it was gonna be live pitting. So that really kind of threw a wrench in our works in some ways. We ended up out of sequence on fueling. I ended up having a fuel under green, which cost you a 2 lap penalty. My teammate ran out of fuel, so we had to. It made it difficult for us. So that's why Mike and I were talking through things to make it where we're prepared if they go that route again in September.
So, I mean, what's your biggest takeaway from, I mean, what would you say to wrapping up with this question? What
Okay.
do you think your biggest advice would be to someone coming into the ARCA series? What type of advice would you give them to get started
Um,
in the ARCA series?
and my biggest advice would be, if someone has that dream and desire to um, drive in at the professional level like that, I definitely would encourage them to do so. Don't hesitate. You know, um, you want to. I mean, for me, it was a dream come true to make it happen. Um, it was something I was always wanting to do, and when the opportunity presented itself where I could go to Daytona and test to see can I get licensed to do it? Um, I didn't hesitate. It's like, nope, this is my opportunity. I got to do it, and I'm glad I did. I've had a lot of fun with it. You know, no, I don't have any victories, but I've had a lot of fun, a lot of successes in other ways, and I truly enjoy it. Um, you know, would it be great to have Venturini money and be gunning for the win every week? Yeah, it would be, but I know I can't do that. So I keep it in perspective that way.
Yeah, and that's what I like about teams like Rise Motorsports,
Mm-hmm.
you guys.
Goulet, yeah, they're great people.
Yes. Um, so that will do it for this edition of Full Follow for Kevin and Justin. This has been Full Follow. Good night, everyone, and goodbye, everyone. 4, 3, 2,